Hey everybody, we're back. Equal Time Soccer breakfast edition, brunch edition. We're catching Rachel Preston and Maya Hansen on a road trip in Green Bay for Minnesota Aurora. Maya and Rachel, thanks for joining. How are you doing?
Good, yeah. Thanks for having us.
All right. So you came off a win last night, which is, yeah, we haven't done an interview just the immediate morning following a night game, but you came out with a 2-0 win. It was kind of tough. I wanted to ask you guys, obviously Green Bay tied us in the opener as well, which, that's its own thing where you're still trying to find rhythm. But what did Green Bay do well to make it difficult for Aurora? Because it seemed just, maybe a little step more difficult than getting the offense going yesterday.
Yeah, I think they did a lot of things well, and they improved a lot from the last time that we saw them. But we've done the same thing. I think we've taken a lot of steps in the right direction. So yeah, there were some different areas that they challenged us. I feel like some challenges it was kind of up and down. We kind of went back and forth in our good runs and where we had some good chances. So.
Yeah, I think their press was pretty good against us. It was kind of hard to build out of the back in the first half. They took away a lot of good options that we normally have. Mm-hmm. And then I felt like it was harder for our forwards to get shots off because they just dropped super deep in the box and made things hard for us.
Mm-hmm. But definitely a sign of a quality team, which is, you're finding the results even when it wasn't the most beautiful offensive output, for example, which we're just maybe spoiled to see. We expect to see 3 goals from Aurora, which is you're not always going to do away, but stayed with it and still got a 2-0 win away. So I mean, that's what a winning team does. What do you think? What is it about? I mean, I kind of alluded to it. It's fun to watch this team, especially we get a lot of clean sheets, but it's really fun to watch the team attack. I mean, but for you all, in the short season, to see the success you've had, what makes Aurora special? What is it? Not every team could come together and have the performances that you've had. So what do you think it is that makes the team work?
I think our team chemistry and the relationships that we have with each other off the field translate onto the field. Mm-hmm. We always encourage each other and stay positive. And I think that just helps us come out with results because we always believe in one another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we all have the same goals in mind. At the beginning of the season, we kind of sat down and just drew out a few goals and aspirations for the season. And one of the first things we said that had a few underlines under it was USL champs. So from the beginning, we all had the same mindset and the same goals, and we wanted to really get something out of the season. So I think that helps us play well together, and we kind of have the same mindset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it also, there's a funny, I mean, it's not unique, I don't think, but there is a pattern of kind of clusters of teammates or players from the same areas. And so, I'm sure for you all, I don't know, I mean, you don't really interact a lot on the field because you're in different parts of the field, but there is probably just little pieces of chemistry that have come from, Addie and Kelsey being teammates, having the Rapp sisters, having you two, and so there are some connections, obviously, between players.
Definitely.
Yeah. How did either of you become Aurora players? I don't know if I know the story of how you actually came to be on the team.
Yeah, I don't know if I know the whole story and how it came about, but our college coach had just reached out one day. We were just having a conversation. He's like, "Oh, by the way, I think this coach from Minnesota is gonna send you a text, so just have that on your radar." And I was like, "Oh, okay, what the heck, that's so weird." And I was like, "Okay." So that's how I had learned about the team and how I kind of got in contact. But
yeah, mine was really similar. I just received a text from Nicole, and at first I was like, I have no idea what this is. Never heard of it. And so I did some more research, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Had a few conversations, and
yeah. So it must have been in the spring, maybe the team had been named by that point. It was called Aurora, but obviously you've never heard of what is Aurora. Mm-hmm. But what did each of you done in the summer previous? Because you've had a couple of seasons, in college where you've had the summer year. What did you do in the other years before this one?
Go ahead.
After my freshman year of college, going into my sophomore summer, I played for Salvo WPSL. That was the first year that was a thing. Following summer, I had surgery, so I didn't do anything. And then the next summer was kind of that weird after COVID summer where we had a spring season. So I decided to take summer off. So I didn't go spring, summer, then fall.
Yeah. And I had never played on a summer team ever before. I had just kind of stuck to like my own training and did stuff on my own. So this was my first experience with like a summer team off season.
Nice. Well, I mean, it's safe to say it's worked out for both of you, I would say. Great exposure, and also just, it's been fun for us to watch. So I'm glad you joined the team. But talk about opening day. We talked about Green Bay having that opening tie, and obviously the team has come a really long way until then. And really, it was impressive how quickly Aurora did find kind of a rhythm of how they're playing on the field. But so just talk about the feelings. I mean, it could be that there was just, the chemistry wasn't quite there yet for Aurora, but I have to imagine nerves played a role in the opening game when you first walked out. So I just wonder, like, what are your first reactions when you come out to do the starting lineups and then you actually see the crowd and hear it? Just what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I think nerves definitely played a big role for me, at least in the first home game, like walking out and seeing all those people, and it was like insanely loud. I remember like trying to talk to Addie, and she was like 10 feet away from me, and like we could not hear each other. But I think that game really helped us because afterwards, like you could sense that there was a little bit of disappointment, and so that kind of helped us like bounce back, and we really came guns a-blazing like the next few games. And I think a little bit of those nerves are still there for me, like when we go out and play, even like from our first home game to the last home game, like seeing all those people and just wanting to play for them and play for the community has been a huge like thing that we have to like take into consideration.
I would ditto everything Maya said. I was extremely nervous. I don't think I've ever played in front of so many people in my life.
Right.
But to turn that around, like it's an incredible opportunity to just play the game you love in front of thousands of people who also love the game. And so it's just super exciting to continue to do that every single home game.
Yeah. Well, and what were the biggest crowds? I mean, what were the biggest crowds you'd played against? I know like your schedule for this year, you guys have some big teams. I think you've maybe played Creighton at home, but like Creighton away is a really nice stadium, but there aren't so many that look like Aurora, in the college game. So what were the biggest, and maybe it was like state tournaments that you played in, but what were the biggest kind of atmosphere or crowds you'd faced before that?
I'm trying to think. We played U of M our freshman year.
Oh yeah.
And I want to say that was the biggest crowd that I've played in front of. I can't remember how many were there, but there was over 1,000.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was probably my biggest.
Yeah, I think that was a good one. Or even like our conference tournament championship this past year against Denver in Denver.
Right.
They had a lot of fans because they were home, but also we had a ton of parents, a ton of and family that came and traveled. So that was probably it.
Yeah. No, I assume that Denver game was huge. I'm gonna ask a little bit about the South Dakota State season in a little bit, but yeah, and also I know your parents travel because I've seen both your parents at the games, and also shout out to the Hanson parents because I basically forced them to do an interview in St. Louis just to get parent content because it's cool. I mean, it is what it is. Parents are the big supporters of Equal Time, so we know how our bread is buttered. But also, it's cool to see them travel. So yeah, no, Maya, I definitely. Your parents did not want the spotlight. I forced that upon them.
I'm sure that they secretly deep down loved it. They probably.
Well, it's when you spend so much time following the team, it is like it's easy to talk about the team and want to, like, from my perspective too, because it's not like I don't just do this to do it. It's like now this is the team I follow the most. So yeah. I'm curious if either of you knew. I mean, obviously, I've jokingly said Aurora is doing a Mighty Ducks 2 thing. Half of the team is from Minnesota, half is from around the country. And so you guys had played, not maybe necessarily in college, but a couple of the players are from St. Thomas and the others maybe you'd played with in youth. So I'm just wondering if there were any Aurora players that you had experience playing against, like who you had past, kind of relationships with aside from you two being college teammates.
Yeah, the only people that I had like recognized or played against were Abby Brantner and Olivia from St. Thomas, but I don't think I knew anyone else because I played club in Maple Grove, so I didn't have some of those like MTA Salvo connections, but I know you have a few more.
Yeah, I also recognize Liv and Abby. I marked Abby a ton in season, so I recognize her play. And then I played Salvo with Ari and Kenzie, so I had a little bit of connection with those two. And then my senior year of high school, I played club with Lid. So
Nice.
Minneapolis United. So I had a few connections.
I knew there must be. I mean, or at least, and maybe some of the other players you had just played in a tournament and not known, obviously, too, like as youth players. Quick break. I'm going to do an ad read for our sponsor, Pence Homes. This week's episode is brought to you by Pence Homes. Pence Home is a real estate team with Keller Williams, and Matt personally has experience working with Nate and Lydia when he sold and bought his house that I'm sitting in last fall. Nate has been a supporter of the local soccer community, including as an owner of Minnesota Aurora FC. And if you need to work with one of their preferred lenders, Angie Shearer, with Luminant Financing, you can do that. If you have house questions, whether selling, buying, or need a furnace or a flooring person, shoot them a message at Pence Homes. Thank you, Pence Homes. So now I want to ask about South Dakota State. You guys are coming off an amazing year, which I'm sure was not irrelevant in getting Nicole Lukic to notice you both being all region for a team that was winning. I mean, South Dakota State is a really successful team. So talk about winning in Denver. You mentioned that. So you had to go away to one of the better teams in the league, and you won to get into NCAA tournament. So I'm curious, talk about that experience of going away to win in Denver last year.
Well, we had our last conference game in Denver, and that one just did not go well for us. We didn't play how we wanted to, didn't get the result we wanted to. So we stayed in Denver for that 4 days until we started the conference tournament. And we kind of just had a chip on our shoulder. We knew we could perform better than that, and we switched some things around. And we knew that if we got the opportunity to face Denver in the final, that we were going to come out and do it. And we went down early right away in the game, and we were like, you know what? We got in a huddle and we were like, we're good at this. We're used to this. We got this. I don't think a doubt ever crossed any of our minds that we weren't going to come back from this. And I think that just lit a fire within all of us. And we came out and scored some awesome goals. And
yeah. And when she says we went down early, it was a minute into the game. And we were got in the huddle. We were like, this is what we do. We're great at this. So yeah, came out and scored some goals. So that was huge. And that was something that we knew that we were going to do. We knew that we were going to go in and get that result because we knew that we deserved that as a team. And yeah, came in and made some changes. So huge credit to everyone just being super adaptable and flexible because those changes helped us win the game.
Awesome. Yeah. And it must be having that experience and then playing now this season with Aurora, with you're getting the exposure and kind of experience of playing in front of big crowds and dealing with that. So your expectations, I'd imagine, must be high for next year, right? You set a standard. So yeah, what's the goal for next year for the Jackrabbits?
Yeah, obviously we want to go farther than we ever have before. So winning our conference championship and making it to the NCAA championship. We faced Pepperdine, and that was a pretty tough team, and we didn't get the result there. So, yeah, we just want to try and make it as far as we can, and we can definitely do that as a team. So,
yeah, I think at SDSU, we just focus on being ourselves and doing the little things right, taking it moment by moment, trusting the process, and all those things will lead to what we want to do in the end.
Mm-hmm. Who is it? So, both of you get a lot of plaudits, deservedly so. And also, really are standing out on Aurora as well. But I'm curious. So we always try to not, just get goal scorers highlighted on equal time. We try and balance it out with other players. So I'm curious for you two, and give you a chance to big up some of your South Dakota State teammates. But, Aurora has a season next year too. Maybe there's room for, additions, but I'm wondering if there's who on that run or who in your team, and it could be multiple people, who's kind of flies under the radar or is unsung in terms of, not everyone is Maya Hansen with 14 goals, which is really easy to recognize. So I'm curious, which of your teammates do you maybe want to big up? Maybe they'd be potential additions for Nicole next year.
I think the Merzdeck twins had
I was gonna say.
They had a really big impact coming in as freshmen and starting a bunch. They created a lot. They're just hard workers. They put in a lot of effort, and they made a big impact on their freshman year. And I'm really excited to see what they're doing over the summer and how they're going to come in the fall.
Where do they play?
They're playing at South Blue.
What positions do they play?
Lainey plays like left mid, and Avery plays like attacking mid.
All right, cool. Well, I mean, we've seen. Look, I don't know if the Rap sisters appreciate the term we use, but when all the raps come in, it's full rap for us. We have to we get pumped. So I mean, Eli was resting yesterday, no chance for full. But honestly, I mean, they play in different positions, which I think is great. Also, like as a twin too, it's like it helps you to have a little identity probably. But when they're all in, I mean, I don't even know if it's about chemistry between them. They're just all really good, and so they make a big difference when they're all on the field together. So yeah, maybe room for more siblings too. Yeah. Well, talk about who do you most want to beat in the Summit League?
Denver. It's always Denver.
Okay. I mean, looking forward to St. Thomas. It was their first year, but they're going to be a team that probably grows into a fun rival for you all too.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to grow like extremely quickly, and they're going to like have so much potential and talent on their team. So yeah, I don't think that we take any team for granted ever. I think Denver's just one that's always on our radar, but there's always other teams that, are super talented and give us a great game. USD's like great. Western Illinois was super, super good this year. They were, came up like a few rankings from the year before. So
yeah, Omaha too. I swear the whole Summit League is just tough. It can go any which direction, and that's what I love about it because it's always super competitive, and you always kind of have chips on your shoulder with each team. So I'm excited.
When I asked, I mean, you guys mentioned every team but NDSU, so the shade has been thrown because when I interviewed NDSU players and I said, who do you want to beat most? And they said South Dakota State really quick. So I mean, the juice is on for this fall's matchup. But talk about too. I mean, it's one of the cool things about this Aurora team and just seeing who can succeed too is that players at different levels. So obviously, I mean, like you're D1 players, but the Summit League, does not get as much shine as big coastal conferences, but we follow it here obviously, so we know the talent. But Aurora is really it's cool to see because we do have players from big so-called conferences, but we have a lot of players who play D2, who play D3, who play in the Summit League, and it shows that it's not about where you play, it's the player you are. So I mean, you are big players from South Dakota State, and it's showing at Aurora. So I don't know if that's something you all appreciate too, seeing like, oh, who's this player Songmin Cha, where does she play, like how did she end up here? And you end up, finding different players to stand out. So that's exciting for us to see on Aurora.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. I want to move into a little bit. I'm going to do a little bit of quizzing between you all. I want to see a little bit of trivia, how much you know about each other, but also just a little bit for us to know about some of the other Aurora players. So there's some context to this. I'm going to follow it up. But so I'm curious. So look, next game, Nicole has to swap you guys. Maya, you're going to play at center back, and Rachel, you're going to play up top. And I'm just wondering who's going to perform better in that swapped position. What do you think?
It's Rachel. Rachel used to play forward, and whenever we do shooting drills, she makes every single one of her shots. So it's Rachel.
No, I have to disagree, and I have to say Maya because Maya's defensive intensity is like no other. And so I think she'd be just fine back there.
Maya does scrap. She might get a yellow card in the box. She might.
That might not be good for me.
I had a feeling you might say that because I had to ask because I saw. I think it was just on the South Dakota State bios, Rachel, that you had 10 goals your senior year. So I was assuming you didn't play defense. In high school.
I played like all over in high school. Like every year I played a different position. In my senior year, I just ended up playing forward because why not? So.
Because you can. I just wanted to score 10. Where did you all play? I mean, Maya from Burnsville, and Rachel, you're from Lakeville. I mean, so basically neighbors. Like, did you all play each other in high school? You must have been in either conference or scheduled.
Yeah. We played each other in conference?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I remember my high school coach, we'd always do like some scouting between each game. And I remember my high school coach like scouting Maya. And I was like, I know that girl. In high school, she's so good. But now I'm like, she's my best friend on the team.
You know what I have to ask? Maya, did you score? I mean, did you score on Rachel when you played?
Oh gosh, I don't know, because I don't know if we played each other. Did we play each other every year?
Yeah. I
don't know.
I feel like 1 year memory. You were hurt or something.
Here's a little context to. I mean, just the odds are good that Maya maybe scored because Rachel, I'm going to ask you how many goals in the 3 years of varsity. How many goals do you think Maya scored? And assists I have the assist number as well.
I don't even know this.
You don't? Yeah.
Let's see. 4 years?
It's, I guess, 3 years of varsity is what I read.
Okay. I'm going to say 34 goals.
Oof. She did you dirty, Maya. How many do you think you scored?
What, like 50?
I honestly don't know the number. I was going to say like 52 or something.
It's 60.
Really?
60 in 3 years, yeah.
Oh,
60 junior and 19 assists, by the way, too. So not too shabby. This is a funny thing. We talk about this. Danny Foxhoven Young, who co-hosts the pregame with me, she scored like 50 some goals in college. And it's funny because strikers either know exactly how many they scored or like it was like Danny was like, I don't know how many you don't know. There's too many to count, is what she's saying, Rachel. She scored too many to count.
Sorry,
I mean, 34 would be fine. That would be just fine. But I think junior and senior year, she had over 20 each year. So, I mean, she was, putting in work. If either of you had to play a different sport in college, and I mean, I didn't look up what sports you may have played in high school. If you had to be playing a different sport than soccer, which would it be? I want you to guess. So, Maya, which would it be for Rachel? What would she be playing?
Like a typical college sport. Like nothing like out of the ordinary.
Or look, maybe it's out of the ordinary. Maybe, yeah. Why, is it ping pong or something like that?
That was gonna be mine. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like your hidden talents. Because sometimes at school, like when we're warming up, we'll warm up by playing basketball and Rachel kills it. So I'm like, maybe it's basketball.
No.
I'm gonna go with volleyball. Because we play volleyball sometimes, and you're good at that too. But what's your answer?
I'd probably say hockey.
Oh yeah, hockey. I have heard you say that.
Yeah, my brothers.
What did you play in hockey?
Never played hockey, but my brothers grew up playing hockey, and I decided I wanted to play hockey by the time I was in 3rd grade. Yeah. But when you're in 3rd grade in Minnesota, everyone knows how to skate already, so I was too scared to do it. But I'm a big hockey fan. I definitely would want to play hockey.
Yeah, I should.
The match up with the physical play. I can see that.
What
would you guess for Maya?
Basketball. Maya lied earlier. I'm really bad at basketball.
She wanted to sneak it in.
Really good at basketball.
She's trying to sneak in that she's actually
all the time.
It might be basketball. Also, in high school, I played a year of badminton, so it might be badminton.
Okay.
Okay. But that's
That's some big school stuff. I'm from the country. We didn't get to play badminton except in gym. That's some big school stuff. All right. This is coming up. I mean, let's say in the playoff opener, got a bunch of injuries. Maybe there's COVID, sickness, something like that. And we're going to have to start Bayless Flynn in goal. and the other 3 goalies are going to have to play on the field. So Sarah Fuller, Taylor Kane, and Olivia Groutman are all going to be on the field. They have to start. Where do they start?
Okay, let's start with Liv. Where would Liv play?
I think Liv would be an outside back.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay, we'll put Liv at outside back.
Okay.
She would shine there.
Where does 6'2" Sarah Fuller go?
That's a hard one because she could like be on defense. She'd be like a brick wall, but she could be up top and she'd just like get the ball and just.
Yeah. I think I would maybe put Sarah in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So brick wall defense action.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe Taylor up top.
Yeah.
I feel like Taylor's
Okay.
pretty.
Yeah, she was a little speedy.
All right. How much do you get to see? How much field skill do you see out of the keepers? Or are they just kind of, like, do they want to show it off? Are they trying to do shooting drills? Or are they just too busy doing the keeper stuff?
We have this one shooting drill where, like, if they intercept our pass, then they can, like, half volley it to the goal.
Uh-huh.
So they get their little share of, like, shooting and a little bit of field action, and they kill it. So
right. I mean,
yeah.
Sarah, to see Sarah's leg, like to see the power she has, obviously, like there's a reason she could kick a football easily. I mean, which I'm sure many of the players could, but like if Sarah really got a shot on you, I mean, like she would probably have a lot of power. Like I would imagine being afraid of a full powered shot from Sarah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Which teammate is the look? Credit to Brenna, credit to the people at Aurora for always making really good social content. We can tell how much fun you all have with each other, but it's not about fun. Who's the best dancer on the team? So we see you guys dancing a lot. Who's the best?
Mariah.
Yeah.
Mariah? Okay.
She always has a new move to bust out.
Okay.
Sure. Every
I
time.
mean,
She has something
yeah.
to-
She's not
Addie's
just
got a little dance move too that she does.
Oh yeah.
Addie was dancing yesterday after the game.
No, there was early on, I think, like a super cut, that like Brenna made of all the different, I hadn't noticed quite how much you all dance to celebrate and stuff, but it was great. And also, I mean, it was like the Macarena, that was amazing. That it didn't get in the broadcast. Thankfully, the team got the highlight of that because, yeah, I mean, it was Danny and I were joking because, like I'm 34 and that was in gym class. We would warm up to the Macarena every day. And it wasn't a joke. It wasn't like weird. It was like, that song is hot. The gym teacher wants to do it. We all lined up. That's how we'd warm up for gym every single day.
Funny.
So shout out to Miss Pavlik. I think she's in the State Volleyball Coaching Hall of Fame. Good job, Miss Pavlik. What's your go-to activity for the bus road trip? So, I mean, you guys have some long trips. You just went out to Green Bay. You went to St. Louis. You went, to Kansas. So, is it just sleeping? You don't have homework to do now. I assume most people don't. So, I mean, what's the go-to to pass the hours on the road on the bus?
Sleeping.
Yeah, there's a little bit of everything. I'm a big sleeper. I could sleep like the whole bus ride, probably anywhere we go. But there's a little bit of crazy eights,
like phone games like that.
Yeah. That makes it go a little bit quicker.
I listen to a lot of music. I try to sleep. Half the time I'm just closing my eyes. I'm not even sleeping. But
yeah. It's a nice bus. It is a nice. I was on the bus in St. Louis to cool off because it was so hot. I mean, it's a nice. Yeah, I mean, hopefully you can get some nice Z's on there. But you don't do any team. You guys don't do like team movies, like watching Bend It Like Beckham on the way. Like on the DVDs or something.
We've brought movies, but we haven't watched one. I think we.
I know. Yeah, I know people have brought them. So maybe on the way home we'll have to drink one home.
I mean, that's a little bit of a throwback. People are watching on their phones. What has been your favorite road trip so far of the couple you did? Kind of long trips, like you've had trips that are days long. Clearly, you guys seem to maybe be roommates on the road. I don't know.
I don't know what my favorite one was. Maybe just like the St. Louis, Kansas City one. I mean, obviously that was a longer one, but I think we got to do a lot of fun things on that trip. And then I feel like that being our first road trip, it helped establish a lot of like relationships on the field and like helped you see different sides of people. And I think that was like very instrumental in our chemistry and like helping us improve.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would echo that. I feel like a lot of like growth and relationship building and like chemistry is established off the field, like when we're stuck together in these little spaces. So I feel like that was huge. Everyone was just excited to like get on the road and like have our first away trip. So I agree.
Yeah, it was. And it may have been good timing because you had the one home game and then immediately go on a road trip. Which I mean, some of the players had just kind of arrived. I know, like the Rapp sisters and Morgan Stone were really late. So yeah, I mean, it definitely makes sense, and we could see even just being in St. Louis, you know, like from watching the COG game and being in St. Louis. Yeah, but by that third game, you started to see patterns of things and people finding the connection. So yeah, it's been fun. For both of you, so I mean, both of you are back at South Dakota State next year, right?
Yep.
Right. So I just want to know for both of you, I mean, the W League, I mean, in Aurora specifically, is really about trying to give opportunities to players. And we know you're both very talented. We want to see Aurora players, you know, go as far as they want to in the game. So I'm just curious for both of you, like, what's your goal in the game going forward?
Yeah, I would like to play for a few more years. I know that if I stop, I won't go back to it. And while I can and while I'm young, I'd like to get as like much as I can out of it. So I'd like to keep playing. I'm not really 100% sure what that looks like yet. I would love to play here, but if that doesn't work out, I would also love to travel and go somewhere new and kind of experience new culture and see what that looks like. So yeah, I guess we'll see what the future holds. Don't have some concrete plans yet, but
yeah, I would ditto Maya. I mean, I've been playing this game for almost 18 years of my life. I can't really see myself giving it up quite yet. With that being said, just trusting the process. Whatever happens, happens. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've got some good tape added to your reels because that's the nice thing about the Aurora getting exposure. And that's when I interviewed Addie and Kelsey, you know, the two of the Utah women, they talked about when they said their number one goal for the team was to get exposure. So, I mean, and it is like, it's amazing to see what exposure the team is getting, and the playoff run will only be more. We got next week, July 13th. So look, I'm not the coach, so I can talk about the playoff game, but there's a game against Green Bay tomorrow, of course, but playoffs are on July 13th. And I think honestly, tickets go on sale in like a half an hour at 10 a.m. today. So, I mean, the Hanson and Preston parents are going to be on the website ready to go. How many people do you think will go to the games from your family for the playoffs?
We got an email that we could like reserve as many tickets as we needed. So I just reserved like ones for my friends and family, and I reserved 27. So that'll be my plan there.
I didn't expect that.
I don't have a set number like Maya does, but I'm sure majority of my extended family and friends and their families will come. So yeah. I think it'll be a big crowd. I think it'll be the biggest we've had for sure.
Yeah, thank you both for making it really fun. I mean, yeah, it's just been, it would have been a real bummer if say you made the playoffs, but we didn't get to have another home game, because it's just been a really special thing. So also it would have been a bummer for the league. I'm sure they want to see the home games at TCO because it's an incredible opportunity. So, I mean, we'll keep watching and it'll be exciting. I mean, the team Indy 11 is the opponent for the playoffs. They draw, good crowds, and they have good, but they don't draw 6,000. So we'll see how they take it at TCO next week. Thanks for joining, Rachel, Maya, and good luck in the game tomorrow. We'll be watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Have a good one.